Welcome to Thoughtful Planning, the place where real conversation, expert insight, and a touch of humor meet to turn our end-of-life uncertainties into self-assurance. I'm your co-host, Santiago, a history buff and a big kid at heart.
And I'm Honey, your guide through the intricate dance of planning with care and a whole lot of warmth. Every week, we're here to turn those intimidating "are we ready" moments into confident "everything is under control" moments. Today's journey is one you won't want to miss. Hi, welcome to Thoughtful Planning. I'm Honey.
And I'm Santiago.
Today, we have a special guest with us. She is the founder and CEO of the International Doula Life Movement, and she has over 25 years of experience in hospice and end-of-life care.
Wow. Through our own personal journey for our end-of-life planning, we've heard the words death doula and end-of-life doula, and we wanted to know a little bit more. So for our listeners, I want to hit on our essential question. How essential is finding help when we ourselves are planning and our family are planning for end of life?
So that's a great question, babe. So our guest, she happens to live in Texas, just like us, actually San Antonio, not far from us. And we look forward to one day meeting her in person. So Anna Adams, thank you so much for joining us today. Could you share your journey into becoming an end-of-life doula and what inspired you to start the International Doula Life Movement?
Hi, yes. Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. Well, like Santiago mentioned earlier, I have worked in hospice for over 25 years now. I actually worked in crisis care and inpatient unit throughout my career. And this is where I really discovered my role as an end-of-life doula. I noticed that as hospice became more medically focused, I began to lose its sight of the original purpose. And so I decided to conduct further research on care and support that I was providing, which led me to discover end-of-life doulas. And so then I realized this totally in line with my work. And so I sought out to make it more official by exploring available programs. But however, I soon realized that these programs were expensive. And as a mother with 4 children living paycheck to paycheck, I was still determined to do this, but those financial concerns. And so I ultimately invested in a program that cost nearly $3,000,
Wow.
which was a huge financial regret for me. And I didn't gain anything from the program. But what I was able to do was connect with others in the same line of work. And however, after the 12-week program, I noticed that most of the 20 to 30 people who left the program needed more confidence and proper education and the support and the community that doulas need. So this prompted me to conduct a research project, and I spoke to about 30 different doulas worldwide. Through this, I discovered that our industry is facing significant issues, particularly costs and support and education. And to be quite honest, many of the programs out there are not really doula programs. What they are more on the lines of getting in touch with your own mortality or a spiritual journey. But I knew I had the potential to change that, and why doulas were trained and how they were trained and help others start their journey. So shortly later, I established the International Doula Life Movement. I also run my own private practice, and I work on staff for local hospice agency as a end-of-life doula as well.
Wow.
That's a lot of things that you're doing.
Yeah. Taking on the responsibility of helping educate others is so important. What are the main services and support the International Doula Life Movement offers its patients, or I don't even know what you call them?
Customers?
Ooh, clients, patients. But here at the International Doula Life Movement, we're totally committed to transforming end-of-life care on a global scale. We offer nurturing community for doulas, along with ongoing free continuing education, which we require our doula students, our graduates, to maintain continuing education, all of which they get totally free in our community. But our goal is to empower our community and to make a positive impact in the end-of-life industry. Our program is a very comprehensive program, covers end-of-life doula training, which we go through 28 modules of training. And then graduates can decide if they want to go into advanced planning, grief, pediatrics, dementia, even pet doula program that we also offer. We also personalize support with our students to launch their own doula practice in their community. So they just don't come to get the education, they come and they get fully supported. We work with our students one-on-one to helping them basically, short of just us turning on the open sign for them in their business and their community.
Wow. So how do you support individuals and families emotionally during the end of life process through your program?
Yeah, so supporting individual families, we've got to think about active listening, being present, actively listening to their concerns, their fears, their emotions, helping them to create a safe space for them to express those thoughts without feeling any type of judgment. Validation and empathy, of course, making sure that they are that we're acknowledging their feelings and providing reassurance that it's okay to feel the range of the emotions that they are, helping to facilitate meaningful conversations. Sometimes we are a facilitator. We'll have family meetings for them to express their wishes to their family so that everyone can be on the same page. Supporting their decision making, making sure that they have informed decisions. I like to always tell my families that I work with is think of me as I'm going to lay out cards on a table for you. And I'm going to explain all those different cards. Then they're going to pick the best resource and the decisions for themselves. I'm just simply giving them those resources.
Mm.
We're also there, of course, to provide a spiritual side of their journey as well, making sure that we're addressing and exploring and supporting the person's belief, their values, their source of meaning, connecting them with other spiritual guidance, maybe churches, whatnot, creating a comfort environment for physical comfort and support. This may be involving managing symptoms effectively, ensuring their privacy is so important as well, respecting their cultural and religious practices, making sure their coordination of care with other healthcare professionals, including hospice and palliative care teams, to ensure comprehensive support and addressing any issues or questions that they may have as well, but also continue support. So we don't just come in and work with the family, and then once they die, we're no longer in touch with that family. That's quite the opposite. Our relationships are built very organic with our families because we're really, really working side by side with them. And we are able to then afterwards follow up with them, help with the bereavement side. I always say our bereavement for a doula, I even say for hospice as well, bereavement starts when that diagnosis hits and not just at the end. So going in and supporting them throughout and then being there and letting them know that, hey, you know what, I have a doula that's going to also be there and check in on my family at the end of all of this as well. So really being there and supporting them and their family to get them through this.
So you said you have cards that you lay out with choices that they can make. Can you provide us, a couple of, what are the top 2 things that people ask for or feel that they need for you to help them with as they're approaching end of life?
I find a lot of times they have questions about pain in the medications because there is a terrible stigma about death and dying and hospice. And so we debust those myths of hospice with them, letting them know. Or I've even had clients that maybe someone else close to them passed away and they believe that the morphine is what took them away. Well, no, they probably got finally comfortable. So I always let families know too that even though you're giving the medications like you're being instructed, not to worry that if they do pass minutes or even 30, 45 minutes, it has nothing to do with what they've done, by giving them medication. Mm-hmm. Also, a big factor that I see a lot of families don't realize is that they can actually interview hospice. We need to be interviewing our PCPs. We need to be interviewing our specialists that we're working with. We need to make sure that they're in line with our values and what we want as an individual. And many families don't realize that when they come out of the hospital and the hospital says, oh, we've set you up with this service, this service, this service. Well, no, I can come in and talk to a family and say, you know what, when you go into the hospital, let the case managers know that you are very active in your care and that you want to interview companies before submitting that referral over.
Mm.
Letting them give those choices.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's a very good advice. Are there any memorable experiences or stories from your work that have impacted you?
I have so many because I have actually sat bedside with clients, patients, families. I've sat over bedside with over thousands of people.
Mm.
One that really, really hits me the most is what brought me into doing what I do. And my calling to hospice was taking care of a good friend of mine, her cousin. And in 3 short months, she had MS, but in the course of a month later, she got very ill with some heart issues. And then it just progressed so quickly. And so being able to I was 16 years old and working.
Wow.
And seeing hospice come in and learning about what hospice was. And at that time, hospice was still something fairly new. Walking through that journey and seeing the whole picture from the outside really, really called. And over the years, just really hearing with all the medicalizations, the changing with insurances, the requirements that the medical staff have to go through, all the charting and every little thing. You have a paperwork for this, you have a paper for that, you got a paper for this, the form that they've got to fill out for every little thing. And so I strongly, strongly believe, because of that past experience, that doulas are needed more now because of that.
So, from your experience, your vast experience, can you tell our audience or give your advice of a couple of things that they might do now, like us, we're on our journey for our end of life planning? What are a couple of things that we could do that would help both us and our loved ones prepare for that end of life process?
One, many people don't realize that doulas are just not at the end of life. Everyone should have a doula. You too should be working with a doula. A doula is going to help you, guide you, and take you through that process from preparing. It's kind of like, think of it when we have that special person that we go to get our insurance updated, or our mechanic that we always rely on and call on. That is what everyone should have, is that professional doula to call on to help guide families. Many people don't realize, and a matter of fact, just actually had this happen a couple weeks ago. Someone thinking, man, I have everything ready. I thought we had everything ready. In reality, they didn't. See, our attorneys are wonderful, and I refer clients to attorneys, but they're going off a state checklist. So a doula, we're going to go beyond that. I work anywhere from close to 80 hours with a family preparing documents. We put together a 3-ring binder. We're talking about having everything from policies to deeds to our military having to actually have their forms together, passwords. There's just so much to it that people don't realize. They think, oh, I just got this done and now I'm done. The other thing is, are you reviewing it every 6 months to a year? I had a client, she was in her 90s. And of course, one of my questions when I'm doing my intake is to talk about, do you have your advanced planning? Absolutely. Okay, great. Where is it? Because that's the other thing, people will forget where they put it. She goes, oh, it's right here on the desk. So we pull it out. I'm like, okay, cool. You got it all in there. But we started asking her, like, okay, this person you have listed, this person, oh, they're dead. Oh, that one's dead too. Oh, she had outlived everybody.
Wow.
She hadn't done it in over 13 years. As a doula, I get with people every 6 months to a year. Because why? We have births, we have deaths, we have marriages, we have divorces, we have adoptions, we have all kinds of things that take place. And so just because you have your advanced planning done doesn't mean it's over. It's something you have to revisit every year.
Yeah.
I also go through and do a vigil planning with my families as well. Talk about who do you want around your bedside when that time comes. Especially here in Texas, we have large Hispanic families, and everybody comes from the first cousin to the 10th cousin, right?
Yeah.
But that immediate family, they also lose out on that sacred space and that sacred time with their loved one. So also too, sometimes agitation comes about or terminal restlessness. So we talk about having a schedule for visitation so that we can make sure that those close individuals get that time with their loved one. Allowing a doula to come in also allows families to be the husband, be the wife, be the partner, be the son, be the daughter.
Mm.
Just coming together and just being who that role is and being that for a moment instead of a caregiver. We also go through and talk about practical support for daily living, support for family and caregivers, the facilitation of acting like a bridge for the medical staff and the doula, legacy work, also preparing and planning funerals. Many people don't even realize, especially here in Texas, we have a natural cemetery
Yeah.
in Lavernia, and people can choose that option. We have different options where people don't realize that, oh, if you wait until you get on hospice, you can actually end up saving yourself maybe $500 to $1,200 if you're doing a cremation. You don't have to go out and buy the urn or the casket from a funeral home. You can buy those things on Sam's Club or Costco. People don't know these things. So a doula brings in all of those resources to have people think about what they really want and what they really don't want.
Mm.
Yeah, we actually talked about the Costco caskets in another one of our podcasts. And it was, people just don't know.
Yeah.
Well, this might be what you just said, but what's a common misconception that people might have about end-of-life doulas or the end-of-life planning process?
Well, several. So death doulas or end-of-life doulas replace medical care. We do not.
Mm.
We provide the interventions of helping to do whatever the hospice team has set forth. We are non-medical. We are there to provide holistic support for the individuals and their families. Our biggest focus, again, are emotion, spiritual, practical aspects of end-of-life care and education. Also, that another misconception is that often that death doulas support just the dying individual. Well, actually, we support the whole family. And that also that only a doula can be at home. If someone is only doing a home death, dying at home, no, we can go in and provide support in various settings, hospitals, nursing homes, private residence. We've had homeless people that we've worked with. Another one is that doulas are like grief counselors. We are not. We do offer emotional support, but we are not grief counselors. We do focus on the companionship and the education and the practical guidance through the dying process and supporting them before and after. We also connect them to those that are qualified for that. Another maybe misconception is that doulas are something new or uncategorized. And while the term death doula or end-of-life doula is kind of new, the concept has been around for years. I mean, you think about it. What did our families do before we were even born and our parents were even born? They had people that they knew that their loved one was becoming ill. Someone stayed at home, cared for them. When they knew it was coming close, someone would go out and build a casket and dig a hole and prepare for that. So the doula role has actually really been around for centuries. I would say another one that I'd have to share is that we push alternative therapies, and we do not. We are there to respect the preference and the beliefs of our persons that we are working with, but we can suggest complementary approaches, but we're not there to push any type of agenda or anything for our clients and our families that we're working with.
Yeah. That's one of the things I wondered about how deep do you get into the spiritual part and then the holistic stuff?
Yeah.
But
It's really the patients and families take the lead on what they want to do. We're just there to be able to provide that resource and support for them.
times are tough right now, so I'm just going to ask this question straight up. So what's the budget like to work with a end-of-life doula?
So it really depends on the need of the client and what they're needing. So typical range for doulas in Texas are from $17 to $75 an hour. But I will be honest, I personally do not turn anybody away for financial reasons. We also work with people, like with me being on staff with hospice, my care is already incorporated into the hospice team.
Okay.
So if someone goes to the hospice that I work with, they automatically have me there to support them.
Is that common for hospice to have a doula on staff?
No. And, to be quite honest, I'm actually educating, International Doula Life Movement. We have so many different partnerships. We actually have a partnership in New Jersey with the Karen Ann Quinlan Foundation, which, if you're familiar with that, that was back in the late 70s, 80s. Karen, it sparked the whole advanced directive movement. So we are working with them to have doulas working with their hospice and providing care. We're working with another hospice in California. And so it's not very many out there, but because of my experience in working on staff, I am helping other hospices across the United States to implement doulas.
I have a follow-up question to that, the budget question. So his question was in regards to, like, if we wanted to solicit a doula, then I did ask in our social media groups, and there is one person that is actually interested in becoming a end-of-life doula. So what would be a budget? Do you have a budget for that? And the time, I guess,
absolutely.
the timing of, like, the modules, like I think you said there was over 20 modules.
Yeah, we have over 28 modules in our course. And to be quite honest, I started IDLM because the International Doula Life Movement, we nickname it IDLM. But I started it because I wanted to have something out there that would be affordable for people to get the education and the support they needed. So we have affordable payment plans. We're not talking about a $300, $500 payment plan. No, we're talking just about a $140 payment plan. And it fluctuates with some of our other courses, but they're all roughly around that cost. And then I always tell people that are interested, if that's something that doesn't fit their budget, call me. Everybody has my personal phone number. Our students, our graduates, all have my personal phone number. They could call me right now and ask me a question. So call me or email me and let's get connected and we will fit something for your budget.
And so once people go through your classes and they earn this certification, right? It's a certification here.
Let me take a step back here for a second. Doulas are non-governed. There are no governed bodies, just like, you think about a nurse, they have to take a state board and all of that good stuff. Well, there is nothing like that for doulas. So you don't necessarily have to have a certification, but should you? Absolutely. Because I am finding, as I am, speaking at other conferences and talking with people in the industry and talking to people like at our National Hospice and Palliative Organization and different areas, finding that doulas are making mistakes. And I really go back to that fact, like I had shared at the beginning, that you need to be educated. You need to know that you're in a line. There's two lanes. One's a doula and one's the medical profession. And we have to stay in our lane. So I feel that, yes, it is. And I'm not saying it because I am an owner or founder of a school, but I founded the school because I saw that. I saw that people didn't have all the tools that they needed to go out and be the doula they needed to be. It's just like one of my students has said, Anna, I've taken multiple, and we do get a lot of students that have taken multiple doula programs and then stumble and find us. And they come in and she said, I have taken multiple other programs. She says, yeah, they talk about end of life. She goes, you not only educate us about end of life and the whole aspect of everything that's going on. She goes, but you also teach us how to be a doula in our community. And so when they come to IDLM, we are a community. Our instructors are what we call boots on the ground. We all have active practices. We are actually working with clients daily. And we all have an open door policy to connect with our students. Our students, like I said, have our cell numbers, a way to connect with us. We work with them from getting not just the education, but starting their own practice and making sure that it is ethically done correctly. And for the doula to stay in their scope of practice. And so like I said, when we originally started IDLM, I was at a 12-week program. We're now at 28 modules. All those students from the first year of our opening, they have received all the updates that I have done over the course of these years for free. So anybody in our live classes, for example, we do have a live class here in San Antonio. We have one starting September the 14th, I believe it is. All the information is on our website. That one is in person. We meet roughly about every other week for 8 hours. And then we go to Countryside Memorial and we do a mock burial, invite our friends and family. And then we do our graduation out there. And we are joined by our Austin class because we have an Austin class. I believe it starts the week before the 14th. And so we'll come together with our Austin class and graduate at the same time. So it'll be a San Antonio Austin graduation. And then we have online classes as well. So we offer self-paced, which is basically you go as fast or as slow as you like, or you can join one of our online live classes. And these are not webinar classes. I do not like webinar classes. I like just Google Meet. Just as I'm talking to you here, that's what happens on our Google Meets. We do our lectures. We have apprenticeships within our training online. They do breakout rooms. They are practicing every step that they're taking from all the learning to, at the end, to feeling more confident as a doula to go out in their community and work. And also, I forgot to mention, for our in-person classes, we do also provide a hands-on concept where we work with a hospice inpatient unit and a personal care home that works with end-of-life clients. And so our students get a wide grasp of training and learning about that hands-on side. And of course, in San Antonio, I'm here, and our Texas Regional Director, Alex, is out there in Austin to work side by side. So we work with our students to giving them that hands-on perspective so that they're ready to go out and serve their community.
Well,
that's very interesting. And then, so that is about one step, if someone is interested, that was very helpful information. So for then, let's say like us, we're in our planning stages, then we could approach your company and then say, hey, we would like to work with a doula to help us on our planning journey. We're just at the early stages of planning. So you then would provide us with a list of people that have gone through your program that we could work with, either maybe virtually or in person?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Absolutely. We have over 1,000 doulas internationally across the world here that are trained. For example, our advanced planning program is a 17-week, 40-plus hour training. Many advanced planning training programs are not even close to that. Our grief program is 15 weeks. So some classes that we do offer may be able to condense it down where we meet maybe twice a week so we can finish in 12 weeks. And then some do go close to 17, 18 weeks.
Cool.
What advice do you have for those that are still hesitant or unsure about engaging with an end-of-life doula?
Well, if they're worried about engaging, call me. Call me, because our doulas meet with every person. We do a phone intake, and then we like to, if we're in the same area, we'll go and do an in-person visit. And that way we can make sure that we're both compatible working with each other and that we can both meet the needs of each other, because every doula's skill set is different. They're not all the same. So we come together and we work and to see. And so again, you don't have to have a terminal illness to have a doula, but we're definitely there before and after.
Nice. how do you see the role of end-of-life doulas evolving in the coming years?
Ooh, there's so much going on. I see us as helping to normalize this death and dying discussion, providing that education and being an advocate. Also, too, our aging population is growing. We're going to be outnumbered soon. And right now, we're hitting to a point, too, that we have people who in this generation didn't have children, maybe not got married, or maybe it's just a partner situation, and they don't have anybody else to be around to help support them. And it's only going to continue to grow, especially with our industry of our insurances. People think, oh, well, once you're old, you just go off to a nursing home. No, you have to meet a medical necessity to go. And families don't know that. They don't know that you're going to have to probably take care of mom, dad at home, especially too, if they don't have long-term insurance, or you're going to be paying thousands of dollars every month. So a doula can come in and help in that situation as well. But I really also see the integration of doulas being more in a hospital setting. And I think we're going to start seeing them more working with hospices and being a part of their team, disciplinaries. I think we'll still have doulas out there working privately. I think we still need that, because as a doula, I don't want anybody telling me that I can only be with the patient for an hour or 30 minutes. If I need to sit down and be with a family for 5 hours, then that's what I'm going to do. And so I think our end-of-life rights are changing. We're seeing them pop around and change in different areas with medical aid and dying. And potentially, yeah, there could be some insurance coverage. Unfortunately, right now, there is no coverage with insurances. It's all private pay working. But I think that could potentially change later on. It definitely did for birthing doulas.
Okay.
Interesting. What are your future goals for the International Doula Life Movement?
Well, my future goals for International Doula Life Movement is to help establish more in-person classes and support groups in every single state and country, so that we can ensure that every individual and family has access to a doula for guidance and support through that end-of-life journey and pre-planning. Because I think that's so important. And the demand for doulas is definitely increasing and is going to continue growing in the future.
Nice.
Wow. So I got a kind of a follow-up question. And I don't want to sound, I guess, insensitive, but do you have many guys that are doulas?
We do, and we need more. We've got, I would say, about 30 or 40 in IDLM, but we definitely do. We need more males in doula work. Here's an example. I was working with a client through my hospice, and he had a younger son, and something just told me to ask him. I felt like I needed to ask this to him. And I said, would you feel more comfortable if I can have a male come and talk with you? And he said, yeah, I would. He says, the only thing is, don't make them too young. I want them a little bit older than my son, which was my key, that he had things he wanted to get off his chest. And if it was someone that was near the age of his son, he wouldn't feel as comfortable. So we got another gentleman to come out, a doula to come out and work with him and help him close some things that he needed to close. So men are definitely needed. We have a gentleman, I have one here in San Antonio, actually a couple here in San Antonio. We have a husband and wife couple actually in San Marcos, are working their practice. We have I have another one, where are they? In New Jersey. So we have a lot of different people coming together. So we do have some couples and individual males working with clients.
Well, I just wanted to ask that question. So
Yeah.
No, it's a very good question. I'm very glad that you asked that.
Yeah.
Because we do need it. And it can also go back to rituals, and especially with our older generations, or even with traditions, women can't touch the males.
Yeah.
It has to be a male taking care of a male.
Oh.
Just like in some of the other traditions, it's got to be a female taking care of a female.
Yes. Makes a lot of
So
sense.
it's needed.
Yeah. I have a follow-up question to that. When you were talking about how you have different, like people that start practices after they go through your modules and such. Is there a license fee they pay you in order to, I guess, like be on your list afterwards to be like a referral that people can work with the people on your list? Is there a license they have to pay you?
So coming to the school, that's in their tuition includes our free business 101 and all of our support. We have a community app that they run. It's just like a Facebook for doulas. There's continuing education, all that good stuff. That is all included into the tuition. And of course, like I said, the business 101, and that's free mentoring and support. We do actually are in the process. We just opened up FATE with his FATE, Friends at the End. And what that is like a doula response team. So a family can call us through FATE and we will connect them with a doula. Now, on that aspect with that, there is some requirements for doulas that have to be taken care of for the doula, but no other fees or anything like that.
Wow. Okay. Well, we want to thank you for sharing your experience with our listeners. We've learned a lot. So is there anything else that you would like our listeners to know, either about the doulas or the International Doula Life Movement?
Just remember, you do not have to have a terminal illness to connect with a doula. It gives the best that you can give. This is a gift. If you can pre-plan and have everything together, because I have sat bedside with many families who, mom or dad woke up and had a stroke at 3-5 in the morning. And now all of a sudden, I don't know what we're doing. We have to get all this together. And they lose that sacred time with their loved one. Mm-hmm. So plan now, be ready now, have everything mapped out, have that 3-ring binder. Because again, I've had families even, I've taken care of all that. And it's like, okay, well, where's the car title? We're tearing up the whole house. So have it all together, really. Seriously, let a doula help you. Call me, email me, text me, send me smoke signals, no matter where you are located. We have over 1,000 doulas across the world, and I'm happy to connect you with the doula in your area. We have actually about 100 here in San Antonio and Austin area right now. And if you are interested or called to helping others and would like to become an end-of-life doula, death doula, please visit our website. Our fall enrollment is already up, and it'll show you the in-person classes that we have, which is going to be in San Antonio, Austin, and Katy. In the fall, next year, we'll have some more other states opening up. And then we have the online. So there's 2 options there. You can do a weekday class that meets twice a week or a Saturday class that meets for a longer time there. But definitely connect with Miss. We're happy. We embrace everybody with open arms into our family here at IDLM. And a matter of fact, I would love to invite everyone July 29th through August 2nd, every night at 7 p.m. This is something that IDLM does. We're strong believers about giving back. So we do a birthday bash in January, and then we do a summer summit every summer. And then again, that's going to be July 29th through August 2nd, every night at 7 p.m. to about 8:30. We have amazing guest speakers, Barbara Carnes, Eric Rooney, Jamie, I can't remember her last name, Tony, all coming in to do workshops throughout the week and education. So it'll be amazing, and it's absolutely free. And you don't have to be a doula to join. Anybody and everybody can come and join.
Awesome. There's one thing I heard about, or maybe I read it on your website. There was also a conference in November.
Yes. So there is a conference in November. You can go to our website. All the details are up there, and connect with us there on our website.
Is that conference more for people that are interested in becoming a doula? Is that what that's for?
Everyone.
Oh, it's for everyone.
Everyone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Awesome. Well, just want to say thank you again, Anna, for joining us today and sharing all of your insights. Will you share with our listeners how they can connect with you?
Yes. My phone number is 210-721-3422. And they can visit me at International Doula, DOULA, Life, LIFE, movement.com. And they can also find us on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome.
So cool.
Mm-hmm.
So For our listeners, as we think about the topic today, I want to guide you back to our essential question. How essential is it to find help when you're preparing yourself or your family for end of life to have that additional help?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that she hit on was what we always talk about, being planning while you're clear of mind.
Yeah.
And that's so important.
Yes. All right. Well, until next time, remember every chapter you write today shapes your legacy tomorrow. Thank you for joining us at Thoughtful Planning. And just like the vibrant hues of a setting sun, we're wrapping up another episode of Thoughtful Planning. Every shared story and insight is a step closer to turning uncertainty into celebrations of preparedness.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, remember that every surprise that comes our way is an opportunity to grow, adapt, and learn. Stay tuned for more stories, expert insight, and of course, a touch of wit in our next episode.
We're not just co-hosts, we're fellow travelers on this journey. For more information on additional resources, which will help you take the next step in planning, look for the link in the show notes for our membership. Join us next time for another episode of Thoughtful Planning. Until then, keep living, laughing, and loving every moment.